Hi there, my name's Tina. I'm 42 years old and I'm from Glasgow in Scotland. So when I was younger, I didn't grow up in a Christian home. My parents were not Christians. We didn't get taken to church. Even through our school, we never went to church, maybe at Easter sometimes, and unfortunately even then we didn't hear about Jesus. So the area that we grew up in was quite a rough area. We were by the age of 12, we were into taking drugs and drinking and really getting up to a lot of mischief. When I was 13, we heard about a team of Americans that were at the local church. We were pretty excited about this because being from the area we were in, and we never met Americans before. We would only hear an American accent on TV, so we were really excited. We went along to the church and met this team. They were called the Royal Servants, and they were there to tell us about Jesus. That was very clear from the get-go. And amongst this team, I met a girl called Heidi, who really became a really good friend of mine that summer. We got on so well. Two completely opposite people from opposite sides of the world, from opposite upbringings and all this kind of stuff. But we just got on so well, and she would just sit there day after day telling me about Jesus and teaching me scripture and just really encouraging me and telling me that God loved me and all this kind of stuff. So unfortunately, Heidi obviously had to go home at the end of the summer, and we kept in touch. We would write letters. Obviously, we didn't have email back then, so we would write letters back and forward. And I had my daughter really young, my first daughter, and I remember writing to Heidi to tell her, and I was very nervous. I was very, very nervous to write and tell her that I'd had a baby. But when I got a letter back from her, I opened it up and all these love hearts fell out on the floor, and this letter was just, congratulations, I'm so proud of you. And it was just so sweet, and really who Heidi was. She was non-judgmental. She never judged people. She never made anyone feel bad about themselves. She was always just such an encourager. And a summer later, Heidi actually was over here visiting. She had a boyfriend over here who she would come and visit with, and during that time she visited with myself as well. So we had a great time. She met my daughter, and I remember her sitting meeting my daughter and being so excited and saying that she couldn't wait to be a mummy. And I just remember thinking that she would just be a super mum because she was such a special person. And Heidi was so beautiful, but she had piercing blue eyes, and we always thought that there was something really different about Heidi, and we thought it was her eyes. Now I know it was Jesus that just shone through her. She was so beautiful. Anyway, as the years went on, I met my husband, and Heidi and I hadn't kept in touch for a couple of years. And when my second daughter was born in 2001, I was just at hospital maybe a couple of days, and I bumped into Heidi's husband, Martin, who, as I say, was Scottish. I remember seeing him and being so excited because obviously I expected to see Heidi beside him. So I says, Martin, where's Heidi? And I was so excited, and he said, oh, Heidi's dead. And I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely shocked and just heartbroken. And I chatted with him, and he told me that they had 3 children. They had Daisy, who was only 4, Hannah, who was 16 months, and Grant, who was 12 weeks old. And Heidi, unfortunately, had just passed away. I don't remember what the medical term was for her condition, but it's basically an enlarged heart, which is ironic because she really did have a large heart, a heart that loved Jesus. At this point, I just knew that I wanted to first of all meet her kids and see how they were, or meet them. It was just such a confusing, sad time. I asked Martin, is it okay if I come and meet the children? He said, of course. So I went along that very afternoon to meet the kids, and I remember getting in, and Hannah with her, Hannah was 16 months, just sitting in a wee high chair, and this newly born baby Grant was 12 weeks old, and Daisy, who was just coming up 4, she said, are you my mommy's friend? And they kids just stole my heart there and then. And I just remember thinking I needed to help in some way, and I asked Martin, is it okay if we can take them out now and again? And anyway, we built up a relationship where I would have the kids, and they eventually were coming and staying over for the weekends, and it was amazing. But unfortunately, there was some problems going on, and here or there. And what happened is I had to look after the children for a length of time. And I remember actually during having the children, I remember sitting one day looking at Daisy, and she was playing with a baby doll on the floor. And I remember looking at her and thinking, like, what would Heidi want me to do for these kids? Like, what would Heidi, if I was sitting at her bedside as she was dying, what would she ask me to do? And I believed there and then, take my kids to church and let them know Jesus. And that's what I done. I thought, well, fair enough, I can do that. And I would plod along to church with these kids every week, just let them go to Sunday school, and that's what we done. But during this time where there was a bit of a problem and the kids had to come and stay, we lived in a 2-bedroom flat. So there was myself, my husband, and my 2 girls. We had Daisy and Hannah. Grant was staying with his grandparents. And people were so generous, and they would give us, we had beds for the kids, we had drawers for the kids, we had all these different things that people were so kind in giving us so that we could help these kids. And all we needed was 2 single quilts. And I remember I phoned our minister, Gordon, and asked him, I said, Gordon, we've got everything for the kids, but we've got beds and stuff, but we need 2 single quilts. So if you hear anyone that's got any, could you let me know? And he started shouting, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Jireh. And I never knew what that meant, but God will provide. And it turns out that 10 minutes before I phoned him, someone came to the door and handed him 2 single quilts and said, brand new ones, and he said, if you hear anyone that's needing them, pass them on. And that's what happened, and at that very moment, that's when I knew that there was a God, because previous to that, all these weeks of taking the kids along to church, I felt something happening in my heart. I felt God speaking to me, and I'm thinking, and stuff that Heidi had said all the years ago were beginning to make sense. And at that point, that's when I knew that God was real. And in that time, I committed my life to Christ and became a Christian, and I got saved. And that was 19 years ago now. God knew a way back when I met Heidi back then what was going to happen. Little did Heidi know, or I know, that I would end up caring for her kids, and that through that I would get saved, and then my whole family get saved, and other people have been saved to God's glory. It's like a rippling effect. So be encouraged, and know that we serve an awesome God.